How you doing, people? I'm back again for the review part 3 now. Obviously I would like to, this is mainly about the corrupt Police Scotland, you know, a police force who is owned and controlled by, as you can see here, this is Scottish Labour, folks. I don't know how many people are maybe aware of who runs Glasgow and who oversees everything within the Glasgow City Council. It's the Scottish Labour Party, folks, that are supporting everything that's going on here and all the corruption, people, which I've already explained to you to a certain extent. But I'm going to continue from review part 2 when the mother had received the document on the 15th of November, 2 days after her daughter was abducted by Police Scotland, aided by GHA, who drilled the door, folks, and then handed to the Rochdale Social Work Department, who are controlled by Labour. So, December the 10th, folks. Oh, this letter comes through the door, doesn't it? It's a guardianship order by the Scottish Court. The Sheriff has granted guardianship of your daughter. So the state owner. Hold on a second here. Hold on a minute. Let's think about what you could do. What evidence could you do to submit? What would a judge say to you? Now, I've never seen a sheriff. I've not seen inside a real court. I've only seen a fake court. That's all I've been to. Fake courts, not real courts, which I'm going to be explaining further to you folks very shortly about Police Scotland, folks. But what we're going to talk about is the guardianship order. And what could the social work department present to a sheriff or a judge at a court to obtain guardianship? But before we do that, hold on a minute, the mother tried to get guardianship for her daughter. And the lawyer, Carol Davis of Newlaw, but she didn't go for it, folks, because she's in the hands of the Scottish Labour. They own her. Bought and controlled, folks. You got to understand, it may be a wee bit confusing to you, but Scottish Labour, Glasgow City Council, influence lawyers and tell them who you can deal with and who you know not to deal with, you know. So you don't have the automatic divine right to walk into a lawyer's office for your human rights. I want my lawyer, I need to see my lawyer. They decide if you have to get a lawyer or not, folks. Lawyers will be given the go-ahead to deal with you in any cases. In this case, folks, we have not to get a lawyer, we have not to get to court. Now you must say to yourself, well, hold on a second, if you're not meant to get to court, then how can they take you to court? How can the police apprehend you? Exactly, folks, which I'll explain to you very shortly, just exactly what has been happening since the 3rd of March. Okay, so, social work department, what could they say? The judge would ask, how long have you been involved with the family? Regarding the child, what information do you have? How long have you been involved? And what are they going to turn around and say, folks? I've been involved since the 17th of June of last year. Excuse me? A child is severely neurologically disabled? How come it's only last year since you got involved with the family? And what was the reason why? Can you show me the reason why you got involved with the family? It's because I'm not accepting the benefit it's an offer, Your Honour. What do you mean the mother's not accepting the benefit? What benefit is it? Hold on, she's 19 years of age and she's severely disabled. Why is it taken until 2013 for the social work department? Have you offered the support to the mother? How come it's taken all this time? What's she been doing for the last 17 years? For 18 years? Until you get involved with it? What has the child been doing? What's the mother been doing for support for the child? Well, the mother's not had support, Your Honour. They've been hiding her, Your Honour. It's because the mother's found out. She's been hiding her. Has she had any support? Does she go to resource groups or anything? Does the mother know? Well, the mother's just found out, Your Honour. The doctor had mentioned something, Your Honour. When? 2011, Your Honour. What was she doing before that? She attended high school, Your Honour, with perfect results. Excuse me? I think the judge is going to turn in and say, I can't grant you a want. Has she any benefit? Has the mother had any financial assistance? You know, is she recognised the system? I know they just found out. But how can you tell her? with mental health issues. Why is it taking to now? I don't know, Your Honour. Don't be so silly. Please. A warrant? Why have you not shown the warrant? Why have you not given us a copy? Because you've not been anywhere near a real court of law. A court is not aware of this. You know what you've got to understand, folks, is Labour, corrupt Labour, you see, the Scottish Labour Party that runs Glasgow, are corrupt to the core and rotten to the core. Now, they control the court buildings, folks, right? They oversee the court buildings and all the rooms, but they don't control the judges and they don't control the sheriffs. No. See, that's how they stop this and setting up wee rooms and fake courts, which I will explain shortly to you. Scottish Labour folks, remember where you're going to put your cross, folks? Do you want to put your cross next to them and support these people, which I've already explained have overseen this immoral act for the last 19 years? They control the police, folks. You think the police are independent, and you think, oh, the police are there to uphold the law. As it says here, Police Scotland, folks, keeping people safe. You forgot to underline there, Police Scotland, and you'll adopt your child. You'll do that as well. You forgot to put that. So these people think that the police are, some people will think that the police are independent and they'll listen to both sides. No, folks. Clearly proven here. Oh, don't get me wrong, you know, if you're arguing with your neighbour about maybe something to do with your fence or blah blah blah, oh yeah, they'll stand in the middle and they'll listen to both sides and they'll come to an agreement. But see, when you get something such as this, folks, something that's happening here, the Scottish Labour and Glasgow City Council, and what they've been doing with the child abduction, folks. They sent the police, just go and take her. And that's how a lot of people would say, what would the judge say as well? But the judge would say to the housing, why did you draw the door? What has this got to do with the housing department for a child? That's what the judge is going to say. Well, what have you got to do with this? Why did you draw the door? It's not your job to draw the door. You think the police, you know yourself, the police knew there was no war. They were sent by their masters, you know, Labour, Glasgow City Council, to just take the child. You see, they've no choice. You know, the benefit fraud wasn't working. The social work was running out. See, the reason why, folks, is that they came and done that is because the housing were panicking. Let's just say, for instance, and maybe when I stopped to rent, Glasgow City Council says, don't worry, she'll be back in jobs because it's okay, don't worry about it, she's got to feed her daughter. That didn't happen. Then they said to them, hey, hold on a minute, that's not happened. Did they not come down here? Hold on a minute. They're not in a hurry. She's not in a hurry to sign for a benefit. We're not getting a rent. And then when I went down to the Rosedale Centre with my mother and Michelle and Leslie Anderson, now remember this, folks, I received information. That's the reason, you know, they've passed that because I've already explained them too, so I won't repeat again, but you know, Leslie Anderson sat and says to my mother, I'm aware that you're not on a benefit, and you really should be on a benefit. Now, this is a threatening letter on the 17th of June to my mother, information received Department of Pensions, that your daughter's been received this about 11 months, which is an ESA fraud, obviously, folks. But she actually confirmed that as well, but she already knew anyway. When she turned to me and said to mother, you should really be on a benefit. You should really be on employment support allowance. Now, hold on a wee second here. If that's disability living allowance, it's from Blackpool, then the mother should automatically be in income support, but they were never doing that for the 2 marks, never be recognised at any time. But what that was also designed for as well, folks, is it the housing warrant, the GHA, yes, Glasgow Housing Association. Well, that's May, June, that's been 3 months, right? And they're, well, we're not getting a rent, you're awful worried here, hold on a second here, things aren't working out what you say they were. They've said it's okay, corrupt Labour, Glasgow City Council, it's okay, don't worry, we'll deal with the deal. And the centre obviously sent her social work department to start harassing the family. So, that didn't work, I told them, blah blah blah, there you go, the benefit fraud. But I did warn the GHA on me, and I told them, I said, look, don't get involved in this, don't do it, because you're not going to win, you're not going to succeed. That's one thing I did warn you, I told you, until the daughter's been recognised in the system, You won't get a penny of housing benefit. I told you to evict the family. And the fact that you didn't evict us is clearly perverting the course of justice, because they stopped us by getting lawyers, Labour, Glasgow City Council, round, influence the lawyers and tell them when to deal and not to deal with. In this case, folks, they've turned in and told them, don't deal with this family. That's quite shocking, folks, isn't it? Don't you think so? But you've got to understand, folks, you know who's involved in this, folks. You've got Mr. Dr. Quigley, who administered the unconsented vaccines that destroyed the child's life. And then you've got the Glasgow City Council, away back in 1997, who was it running overseen by? Scottish Labour, who proceeded to hide the child within the nursery in the primary school. And then when they decided, unknown to the mother, we're getting East Renfrewshire Council, yes, in your School of Excellence, and your Thornleybank Primary. Unknown to us, the mother, at the time, because the child was hidden and nothing was said, we were getting East Renfrewshire Council involved. But they had the chance, folks. They had the chance to do the moral thing, didn't they? And come in and say, we can't do that, no. That you took part, you knowingly harbour a vaccine damaged child within your education system to protect a doctor. And obviously to protect the NHS as well, obviously. So you've got to understand, folks, why they don't want us to get to a court of law. Okay? And why they don't want the child recognised in the system. Because if a child's recognised in the system and the proper benefit of disability living alliance, talking carers alliance, then obviously it contradicts the school reports, doesn't it? And then how the school will have to answer for that. Which is Renfrewshire Council, you're a sitting duck in Mark my words. You will be held accountable for that, obviously. But that's for the future. When we get a lawyer, we will get a lawyer. Oh, mark my words, we will get a lawyer. There's no problem about that. So, GHA, let's go back there. Social Work Department. 3 months in, Glasgow Housing Association's panicking. Hold on a second here, she's not in a benefit here. She's not in a hurry to come down for a benefit. She's getting her bills are getting paid. You see, folks, they can check your bills to check to see what you're paying. You see if things are getting paid and what you've got in your accounts. You see, that's been a bit noise, isn't it? Data Protection Act. Remember your data, all private. Data Protection Act, it doesn't exist, folks. It will exist for them. When you go and you ask for something, they say, oh, I'm sorry, but under the Data Protection Act, I'm sorry, I can't reveal these details. You're insulting my intelligence, folks. Data Protection Act, as I said to Lorraine Cutwood when she said that to me, oh, under the Data Protection Act, I can't say anything. And I says, don't be so silly, Lorraine, it doesn't exist. Data Protection. So, June, no rent still being paid, housing panicking. You go to October, folks. You think May, June, July, August, September, October. There's still no benefit, folks, for the mother. From May to November there wasn't a penny of benefit in the house. But the housing were happy to sit back, folks, and not attempt to help the mother, to support the mother. We're saying, look, we'll get your benefits sorted out because you want to get your housing benefits. We want to get you and your daughter recognised. We want to the welfare office. They didn't help because they were told not to. They were told to ignore. Just sit back. Oh, don't get me wrong, the GHA sat back, no problem. But they weren't sitting chilled. They were sweating, folks, sweating buckets, panicking. Because they knew they were going to take us to court for eviction. They knew that was done. None of these can go to court, just like can't go to court for a warrant. That's an insult to me. So come October, that's when the corrupt guardianship lawyer, yes, Carol Davies of New Law, phoned the mother, as I've already explained, blah blah blah, these large these rent arrears that you've amassed may count against your guardianship application. But the guardianship didn't exist, folks. That didn't exist. That was an illusion, folks. Didn't exist. So, as I said, I knew that the man said, that's the housing panic, it's fine, just don't worry about it, have a laugh at that. That's fine, they're panicking. And then, with the fake court, oh yes, the fake court, I tell you, it was had to be set up, it was all rushed. You know, it wasn't ready when we appeared at the court, because it wasn't meant to be, that was plan B for them. That was for Carol Davies, she didn't want us at that court. Well, I'm calling that court, let's just have a fake room within the sheriff's court, you know, as I said, Scottish Labour control the courts and control the rooms, they don't control obviously the judges and the sheriffs. So, And Carol Davis relays their duties and at the end of the phone call, man, that's him arrived, they've arrived here, you'll have to get into plan B, set up a wee room. And it's funny folks, because we walked in, there was already people sitting there. There's 3 people, somebody from Labour, corrupt Glasgow City Council, right? Was sitting there. Someone who called himself Sheriff Baird. Excuse me? Sheriff Baird? Oh, I've heard of him a few times. I'll explain to you down the line, you know. So it was a Sheriff Baird, seemingly. Oh, I tried to safeguard who obviously tried to have me arrested, you know, so that's totally fake and blowing. And then they'd no choice, obviously, the house and the lot. Look, right, this is, we're over $2.5 grand in rent arrears here. Now, folks, you know as well as I do, it's not rocket science. Eviction proceedings. You're lucky if you don't get taken to court for at least £1,000 in rent arrears. You'll be at least have sent a threatening letter and sent to court. But they're never going to take my mother to court, as Lorraine Kirkwood says during the year. Oh no, we're not taking it. We're not taking your mother to court. Excuse me? Prevent the course of justice, Lorraine. We're not having us access now to court to have our evidence heard. You supported this, you're up to your neck in this, Lorraine. It's fun enough, I told you, I gave you the chance to go out in May, but now you've got child abduction. Listed to your charges against you. I hope you've consulted your lawyers, Lorraine. I hope the GHA have consulted their lawyers to see where you stand. You know, because a judge would surely turn around and say to you, what are you doing drawing the door? Who told you to draw the door? It's not for you to draw the door, it's for the police to, if they don't get in, to batter the door. But you've got to show the warrant, Rochdale Centre. The warrant must be shown. But folks, there's no warrant, you know that yourself. You know, if the police go to a property and they've forgot the warrant, you know yourself what to do. They've got to hang loose till someone goes and gets the warrant and then comes back and then goes into the property to show they've got the warrant. You don't just bust in and say you've got a warrant and no show it and no leave a copy it, and then the sort of intelligence will send us a letter out 2 days later to say you want to know the details of the warrant, give us a phone. This is a child that's not in the system and doesn't exist. So who are you going to say to the judge? The judge would obviously ask you so many questions. He'd be scratching his head at the wonder why you're applying for a warrant for a child that's not in the system and doesn't exist. He'd also be more puzzled and confused if that child attended high school. Where does mental health come from? It's all because of 2011 meeting, folks, that everything changed. That's what all changed. You see how from 95 into 2011, it's fine, the hospitals were saying it's just dehydration. See, they never said it was autism then, folks. You see that? They didn't say it was autism then when they were saying it was dehydration. It was then all of a sudden because of the 2011 meeting Mr. Quigley says it was autism, which is a statement that he's not entitled to make. He's not qualified to make that statement. But then because he says, oh, everybody's it's autism. You know, and as Leslie Anderson, this clearly proves to you, I've already explained the DWP sharing the NHS's resources, folks. During that meeting when I went with my mother Michelle, Leslie Anderson decided to have a wee comment, she made a wee statement. Oh, I'm aware that, now this was in 2013, this meeting was 2 years ago, folks, remember that 2 years before, 2011, and then she made this wee comment to me. Oh, I'm aware that the doctor had mentioned to the father that there was autism. You see, what that proves to you, folks, is collusion between the social work department and the doctor. The NHS, the DWP, Carol Davis of Newlaw, corrupt lawyer, in the hands of local Labour, Glasgow City Council. Do you see, folks? I'm going to get to the police very shortly, folks. So, GHA panicking. You know, that's been 2.5 grand rent arrears and they can't take it. They knew they couldn't take us to court. Just the same as when they burst in the door, that drilled the door. You know, drilling the door, you know, police busting in. We've got a warrant, social work got a warrant. I never showed it, fine, okay, didn't ask. No problem, took her away. You broke the law, Police Scotland. You do understand what you've done, you're child abductors. Okay? You're child abductors, you broke the law, Police Scotland. You're corrupt, Police Scotland. That's what I can say. You're racking up more libels than Ronnie O'Sullivan's racking up centuries at snooker. Now, you're going to have to stop them. And I'm going to be producing a document here for the public to see that we totally stop you. It's going to make you look awful silly and corrupt, isn't it? When I'm going to produce this very, very shortly. So, that document in December, folks, of 2013. Oh, the guardianship. Now, you're impersonating court headings. Officer of Public Guardians Scotland, Guardianship Order Inspector Michelle, and it says they've got guardianship for 3 years and they don't have to tell us where they're keeping her. No sheriff and no judge in the land is going to issue a court order or a guardianship order or even a warrant with the evidence that we have. You've got to understand, I'm sure you do, folks, we haven't, my mother's never been to speak to anybody. It's all one way, it's all their way. My mother's not had the chance to say her piece. Oh no, keep away from court, I must keep away from court. That's clearly true when they went arrears, folks, the amount it's at. And it's probably that now at £3.5 nearly £4 grand. Guess what, folks, I've got the letter that confirms that they're still accepting their rent, even though their mother's not in a benefit, you see. So, you can't take us to court. Guardianship order. You can't hijack our guardianship. It didn't exist. Obviously, you stopped us from applying for it, which would have been pivotal for the mother. Oh no, you can't have your daughter, we'll take her. Yeah, sure, no problem. We know if it signed the fraud benefit, as Leslie Anderson confirmed on that day that he's kidnapped, you know, we wish it would have been, we wish it would have went the other way, but you forced us upon us. What you've got to understand, folks, is our resistance to this over 2 years for this abuse for local Labour, Glasgow City Council, abuse and harassment, and the benefit fraud that wasn't being accepted because they haven't applied for the benefit. She's not in the system, she doesn't exist. They decided they had nowhere to go, and they've told the GHA, who the GHA's been on it, the Glasgow Labour, you know, what are you going to do? We're not getting a rent. Oh no, what are you going to do? Everything you say is going to work is not working. Exactly, I told you. Well, GHA, they've just put you in a sinking ship. They put you on a loser. You're never going to be successful. And what you've done, what they told you to do, it was never going to work. And it's still not going to work. Mark my words, it will never work. So they've decided, obviously, that was the reason why it was influential. That's the reason why they drilled the door, folks, because local Labour, Glasgow City Council, you've got to keep saying Labour, folks, because you've got these big elections coming up soon. You've got to watch where you tick your box. You know, do you really want these people overseeing our city, you know, and doing what they do, and how they control and how they abuse people and protect doctors that damage children? I don't think so, folks. I don't think I would like to put my ex next to that Scottish Labour, mark my words, you know. But Scottish Labour, mark my words, people are going to know what you've done. They're going to know what you've overseen for the last 19 years and every immoral act that you've committed and who you control. It'll pretty much confuse people, I think it'll pretty much scare people, but you'll get adjusted and you'll get used to the fact of what we're living in, folks. You know, Scottish Labour. Bye bye. So, guardianship doesn't exist, obviously. And there you go, let's just say, folks, that's a fake Office of Public Guardian impersonating court headings. You know, it's a blank piece of paper's been typed in. Oh, we have to guardianship of the child. I couldn't stop laughing, obviously. I didn't laugh when she was taken, folks. No. But it's heartbreaking to watch, and it's even more disturbing to watch the police being corrupt, who we're meant to be for us, folks. Or to keep us safe. Oh yes, we'll keep you safe and we'll assist you as much as you can. But when you sit and watch them abduct a child, folks, it's not in the system. And you think for us human rights, folks, after we found out in 2011 it was destroyed by a family doctor. You know, it's you know, you start to wake up and you realise they control them. And then we realised that they couldn't get the lawyers, obviously. Well, Carol Davis, for instance, that's clearly confirmed to you that lawyers are controlled. Labour Glasgow City Council has them in their back pockets and influences them not to deal with you. So it's quite embarrassing, isn't it? For lawyers to be told to stand down. It's quite, what would you say, for the police. You go in and take that child, hold on a second, you think you're turning and say, they knew there was no warrant, that's the reason why they didn't kick the door. They said, look, you can't go in there, start kicking doors in because we have no got warrants. That's the reason why they done the core vote mission. That's the reason why they didn't send and didn't notify us. You know, they didn't notify the mother that they were coming. You know, that wasn't to be, because as far as they knew, obviously with the starvation process that wasn't successful for them, with family and friends who were assisting to pay the bills that Lorraine Kirkwood didn't like, because the GHL Lorraine, they didn't want to alert people that they were coming, you know, because there could have been people standing outside. I'm asking the same question as I would have, well, I wouldn't have asked because I knew I never had a warrant. I wouldn't assault my intelligence for asking for a warrant, obviously. But they didn't want the people outside, big protest, etc, etc. If there's a warrant, there's a warrant. You know, they didn't want that. So they came to covert mission. Right, wait till the mother's out, the mother's in the bus, let's go. We know the daughter's in who can't live, and they know the condition of the child. The 2 max assessment, folks, they done 2, yeah, there was 2 max reports, 2 of them, one for us it was nonsense and lies, which I've already explained to you, and there was one from Mr. Quigley, just to see this, the condition of the child, Mr. Quigley, you know, you've been hiding, the same as East Renfrewshire Council, yes, East Renfrewshire Council, and your Wood Farm High School, the School of Excellence, So, Jardine shut didn't exist. I had a laugh at that. But don't you think, folks, you've got to admit yourself, if that was a lawful document, granted by a Scottish court, wouldn't that have given Lorraine Kirkwood, wouldn't she have been down at my mother, not long after that, to say, the state own your daughter now. You know, the fact they've never been down, it confirms to you that it's a fake document and it's nonsense. You know, that it's, you know, and why didn't you come down when insurance the court on you, blah 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 blah. And you'll have to go into job seekers now. But it was job seekers when she had her daughter in the home. And the good had decided not to help and sit back and just play it cool because the orders of the Labour run Glasgow Corrupt Council. You know, don't worry about it, we've got to acknowledge, we can't acknowledge that she has a child. You see the technicalities of that, folks, is that if she's recognised for her disability on the proper benefit, you see they're liable, folks. The Department of Pensions have got 16 and a half years disability living allowance at top. For my sister's condition it can't go any higher. Top. Is it a higher one? I don't know. And carers allowance, folks, because they had it in the system and they don't want to pay that. It'll break their heart to pay it. See, that's the reason why. When she was 3 years old, there wasn't any. You know, there was no back payments then, but they still had it. Oh yeah, we'll hide it out. That's fine, no problem, doctor. That suits us, doctor, no problem. You don't have to pay the benefit, no problem, doctor. And then you were caught. And then at the 2011 meeting, that triggered the whole back payment issue. Triggered it all, and it was important that had to put her on a benefit that couldn't be backdated as well as to hide on the system. You know, because employment support allowance isn't for my sister, with her condition. You see, but it also hides that and stops the back payments. You know, as Linda Allen, when I did say to me, she said about ATOS, well, you have to go to the doctor for a sick line, and you have to probably go to ATOS once, it's okay once, but she's looking at me as though she's doing me a favour, it's alright, she only has to go once, she doesn't have to go again. ATOS, excuse me. Anyway, obviously on the video, on the DVD, when I mentioned that I had that document, she said, no you don't. You see, that was a pivotal moment and she knew that, explained to you that she knew. Hold on a minute, I'm doing benefit fraud here for the Glasgow City Council, you know, but she was caught bank rights, hand the cookie jar, as I said. But Lorraine Kirkwood didn't come down, did she? Why didn't you come down, Lorraine, to say that the court, obviously the court on your daughter, it's by law. You see, folks, my mother still has her daughter by law, because they haven't been to a court, they couldn't go to a court of law. That's the reason why my mother's still there. We can't go to court, they can't take us to court. Do you think the police can take us to court, to a real court? If the housing can't take my mother to court for eviction, that means these courts are all fraud, folks, and I'm going to explain to you just exactly what has been happening in Police Scotland. So, that's December. Thank you very much. And then we got a letter through, funny enough, you know, as well, which I'll explain in a wee second. But, as I say, I would like to go, if you've watched the footage, folks, of the first meeting at the Glasgow Housing Association, remember, the rent's still piling, you know, no court. If you've seen that video, you'll see me acting accordingly and lawfully, as I would do. I don't make appointments to ask questions, I'm by that. You cross the definitive line. You can't make appointments with criminals and corruption. It just doesn't happen. Okay? Simple as that. By that, the day you draw the door, you cross the definitive line, you abducted the child, it's not in the system, and there's not a penny in benefit who you're trying to protect everyone that's involved, the schools, to the hospital, to the doctor, the strider. At once they succeeded. At once succeed. That's my promise. So, went to obviously to watch the footage. Come out, Lorraine. Answer my questions. I'm not making any threats, folks. I'm not swearing. If you watched the footage, you would have seen there was one swear word in the footage of the first video. But it was a father on the camera at distance from the GHA's office. Yes, Police Scotland. It's not a prehistoric camera we have. It does have a zoom facility, just like all your. Maybe it's not as strong as your ones you've got in every lamppost in the whole of Scotland and Glasgow that zooms down in a fly practically walking along the pavement. We don't have one like that, but we do have one. It's got a zoom facility, Police Scotland, and corrupt Labour Administrative Glasgow City Council. Now the father can stand back, which I'm going to explain. You maybe say, why are you saying that? I'm going to explain to you because you're going to hit the deck, folks. So, as you can see, come out and speak to me, Lorraine Cutwood, please. She didn't come out. But then, that gentleman, okay, for a wee second, folks, as you can see in the footage, Mr. Robert Bisland, that was the gentleman, the bald gentleman with the glasses, who had come out the door, and he was speaking to me. He didn't look any other way, he was speaking to me, you know, and he said, oh, you want to speak to the master? I said, excuse me. Well, obviously I'm not intimidating, but it's maybe frightening you that I'm down here at your office and you can't answer my questions because of what you've done. You know, what do you expect me to be like? You know, I'm being polite to you, I just want my questions asked in camera. I want the public to know what you've done. That's what I want your GHA office. I warned you as well, not to get involved. So they didn't come out, folks, as you can see they put the shutters down, no problem. So we left, folks, right? Excuse me. And then we went back to the GHA on the 3rd of March. And as you can see, from the second footage, folks, we were over there for what, 3 minutes and the police were called. Now, as you can see in the video, you've got a PC Lamont, and I don't know the other gentleman's name, but if you look at his face, he's lying. Okay? And he says to PC Lamont says, oh, we've had a phone call that there's been threats made against staff. Hold on a second here. I'm not going to film footage. I'm above making threats. I'm acting lawfully. Just like my mother's acted lawfully. You know, we'll stick within the law, we don't break it. We're law-abiding citizens. You know, corrupt Glasgow City Council, corrupt Police Scotland, and corrupt GHA. You know, we stick within the law, folks. You know, just come out and answer the questions, please, if you don't mind. And we weren't shouting through a megaphone, I was speaking through it. The megaphone obviously amplifies it. I was speaking through it. I wasn't making threats, folks. I'm not going to film myself making threats, am I? I'm not going to film myself. That'd be stupid, wasn't it? That doesn't say I'm going to make threats because that's... No, I don't do that. I'm law-abiding. You know, I'm trying to fight corruption. So, PC Lamont, oh, we've had a phone call that there's been threats been made. Now what you've got to understand, folks, if you look at that, at the start of that second footage, folks, there's been threats been made. Now, that gentleman comes up, doesn't he? They're the police. Oh, we were down a couple of weeks ago, see, he doesn't know when we were down. Got down a couple of weeks ago. We had to, you know, kind of put him right, you know. So, he doesn't know, that means that they weren't phoned. They never phoned him. You know, excuse me, if they phoned him, the police would be down visiting us, would they not? You know, they would have been down right away visiting us and looking for us. You know, they wouldn't be leaving it till a week later till we come. You know what I'm saying, folks? They wouldn't be doing that. So, he said, well, oh, we'll need to have a word with you, except we'll take you back to, I says, excuse me. I says, we're not committing any crime here. You know, but what you've got to understand, folks, is that they couldn't arrest us at all. They had to concoct a reason. They realised that the camera was on, folks. You see, at the first visit they weren't aware that the camera was on. They didn't know that the first visit was video cameras, and neither did the staff that was in the GHA office. You see, the camera's there for their protection, folks. You've got to understand, if we'd never had that camera, corrupt Police Scotland and the rest would all be making those stairs, all the calling us this and that, me said this and that, how we're going to do this and that. The camera never lies, folks. What's on the camera stays, you can't contradict or bend camera evidence, but Police Scotland are trying to stupidly try it. It's unheard of, never heard it in my life, it's impossible, folks. Totally impossible, but I'm going to explain it in a wee second to you. So, went back to Helen Street, didn't we? Separated. Now, you know, if you're getting charged, just put it straight to the charge desk, aren't you? You know you've been charged with suspicion you'll be taken to Sheriff Court in the morning with the rest of the prisoner. I said, I knew that wasn't going to happen, folks. You know, I knew it wasn't going to happen. I said, they don't want to take us to, they can't take us to a real court, a real sheriff. It's impossible. Because if we get to a real court and a real sheriff, we get our daughter back. I get my sister, my wee pup back, who was destroyed by vaccines. I got her back immediately and returned to the mother. A judge or a sheriff wouldn't put up with this, folks. No way whatsoever. But that's the reason why they're stopping us, you know. That's the reason why they rented us at $3,500. So, I didn't think go for a lot either. So, we ended up, we got a pink slip, folks. 8:30, let out, put to the desk. And it's funny enough, I had a desk clerk I was speaking to, funny enough. And he says, he handed us a pink sheet, and I said, fake coat, no problem. I knew right away anyway, so right, no problem. And then he turned around and he says to me, he says, hey, you're not allowed to approach any GH office, do you understand? And then he verbally says sneakily, anything related. I knew right away what he thought of it. I said, listen to that. I said, is it on the paper? No, anything related to what? Anything related to the Great Big Head, is that? He said, oh, you're not allowed to approach Rochdale Social Work Department, you can't approach any East Renfrewshire Council buildings, the DWP who's committing the fraud, you can't do that, you can't approach the GHA. See, the GHA have something that says to the Glasgow City Council, you'll have to protect us, you'll have to keep these people away from us. You see, that's the friends of Kirk Labour, Glasgow City Council. They've had to turn round and ask them, well, you got us involved. You'll have to protect us now, but it's okay, no problem, don't worry about it. We drilled the door to steal their child. We didn't assist them, and you've got us. But you're meant to protect us now. And that's how they use the police, corrupt Police Scotland, folks, you know, to protect them, you know, you see. So, after that, we went to we got this not to appear at any GHA office. No, it's a fake court, no problem, told them we weren't attending. You know, but the funny thing about it is that I went to a lawyer's office with this. And I said, I wonder if you can assist me and represent me at this fake court. You know, I just wanted to see if she'd agreed to it. I took the letter back, folks, didn't I? On this occasion, we can't help you. You know, bear with me a wee second, I'll read it out to you, folks. But I wasn't surprised. Here it is here, 18th of March. You know, that was just more or less, just over 2 weeks after the illegal apprehension. And let out the half of that pink sheet. But they kept their megaphone, folks, you know, they kept that. That's all they wanted to do. They goes, you can't have, no, you can't give them that, they'll just go back. They can't have that. That's a breach of human rights. Come off after it and bring us harm, arrest us and take the megaphone. That's theft. You'll be held accountable for that, Police Scotland. You'll be held accountable for quite a lot. Not trust me. We refer to a recent attendance at the office when I showed her the pink slip, obviously. They discussed your up and coming court matter, which you had cut. Unfortunately, a firm will not be taking on your case in the case. And that's the reason why it's not a court, it's a fake court. It's a charade, it's nonsense. So, we didn't go. So guess who we went? We went to Helen Street on the day. We were meant to appear at this fake court on the 3rd April. On the 3rd. A month after. We went to Helen Street. We didn't go to the fake court. We went to Helen Street to see a bit of stuff back. And we says to the desk clerk, I said, it's your fake court. I said, we didn't attend, we didn't just say, we'd like to have our stuff back, please. There's no charges against us, if you don't mind. Please give us our stuff back. He said, oh, you'll have to wait to see if we get a PS letter for release. And then we said it's a fake court. He said, but that's in your opinion. Police officers don't say that. Why didn't he turn round and say to us, well, you're meant to be at court. Obviously, clearly, have you attended this court today? Because obviously there'll be a warrant out for your arrest. But he didn't say that. He just said it's... He just turned around and said, well, that's in your opinion. Police officers don't say that, folks. You know, it's fake courts. Nonsensical fake corruption from Police Scotland. Have been told to protect the GHA office. You know. So, after that, oh yeah, kindly we're giving her a megaphone. Obviously it's not as big, but it still does the trick. you know. But I missed my big one, I really do. So, after that, I decided to contact Police Scotland. And I said, well, after all, if everything's all official, then there's CCTV footage of us being escorted into Helen Police Station and being charged, officially charged, ready for court and told of our rights. But he didn't do that. And there's no DVD footage, folks, because I've requested it from Police Scotland. Oh, they don't have it, and I haven't had it back. I haven't had the evidence that I request because it's not logged as official. It's all fake. It's all charade. It's all nonsense. So, after that, I went down, didn't I? We went to the Rochdale Centre, oddly enough, folks. But before the Rochdale Centre, sorry, my father received a citation card. You know, we didn't attend this fake court, so you're talking about, what, nearly 2 weeks after the so-called fake court, 3 weeks? Now, don't you think a PF would be very insulted at the fact that if he'd required us to go to court, and we didn't attend that court? I'd be want out for arrest, wouldn't I? He'd be like, bring them to me, summon them to me. No one. Because it's no PF, it's all fake. So, we sat and wait for a citation at Pollock Police Station, folks. And the desk clerk came out, and we said, I believe there's a citation here for us. And it wasn't for me, it's my father. I didn't get one for some reason, oddly enough. You know, what happened? Did they forget to give me one? You know, but we said to him, we notified to the gentleman, we said, before you bring it out, we're refusing it, we're not putting a fingerprint, we're not touching it, we're not acknowledging it. And he turns around and he says, but how do you know you've not committed a criminal offence? Excuse me, folks. I think you would know if you've committed a criminal offence, wouldn't you? Have I committed a criminal offence? I think you would know. So he's away in the back for 20 minutes. I'm saying, what's the hurry? He's just got to bring out a citation and shows it for 20 minutes. He's probably inside saying to himself, they're refusing this citation that I'm looking at before I even showed him it. And furthermore, it's blank, there's nothing on it. What am I going to say to him? Guess what, folks? So he's obviously mustered up the courage to come out, you know. And he's come out after 20 minutes, he went, citation there for you. And I've looked at it and I went, there's nothing on it. What's the charges? What charges are you talking about? And then he turns around and he says to us, folks, I can't script this. He turns around and he says, maybe it might be for a witness or something, maybe you're a witness to something. Obviously we had to tell him, we're insulting your intelligence here, please, don't insult it, please. And he says, but if you don't, well obviously if you don't go to this, there's nothing on it, but if you don't appear at this court for no charges, then there could be a warrant issued for your arrest. That's the equivalent of your mother giving you a shopping list, folks, and telling you, get to the shops for me right now, because if you don't go to the shops, I'm going to ground you. And then you head out, folks, don't you? And as you're walking out the door, you open the shopping list and you see that it's blank and there's nothing on it. Are you going to go to the shops and don't know what you're going for? Of course not. No charges, blank citation. Excuse me? Once again, we didn't go to that, folks, obviously. No, didn't go to that. So, where was the warrant? Oh, no warrant. Excuse me? Went to the Rochdale Centre, didn't he? Now you've got to understand, folks, we're just doing the same as what we're doing at the GHA, looking for answers through our megaphone. And obviously with our signs, obviously as you see, you know, I'm widely publicising that the police are corrupt, and Glasgow City Council are corrupt, and the social workers are corrupt. And obviously saying who's involved, you know, as your GHA, which we received a letter which I'll have a wee discussion with that and let you know just exactly what he says, you know. So, went to the Rochdale Centre, didn't we? Which is on footage, I have got it. I was stood outside, and had a lot of people coming to sit up. People were coming and talking to us. You know, the public were taking an interest. They said, what are you here for? And they were seeing the signs. People were stopping their cars and coming out to see us. And were speaking to us and were believing what we were saying. People were like, I believe what you're saying. Of course. I can't get a lawyer. People were really concerned. I didn't think they controlled the lawyers. Yes, they control everything, folks. They influence everything in Glasgow. They control everything. That's the reason why they're corrupt. They can act the way that they want and abduct children, protect doctors. Yes, and benefit fraud. Oh, if you were the benefit system, folks, if you were the benefit system, overpayment, they're no slow in taking it. But they don't want to pay this. No, same system with damage, they don't want to pay for it, do they? No, it's bad enough, great enough. My sister's life is priceless. Her life has been taken. There's no going back for that, but you will be held accountable for it. I promise you that. So, police came and spoke to us, didn't they? Obviously, I think the police officers be like, I can see the sign saying corrupt police. You know, it's true, you know, it's true. You know, and then I says to him, explain to the police. But that, before the police came, people were taking photos. Public, they want to take photos, they're asking what